All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tear down how a professional investment thesis on a massive company actually gets built. And we're not just looking at any company, we're deconstructing the whole process of analysis itself, using one of the most talked about companies on the planet, Amazon.
Okay, let's jump right in. The source report we're looking at, well, it doesn't waste any time. It kicks things off with this incredibly bold call, a buy recommendation on Amazon. I mean, that's a really strong statement, especially for a company that's already worth over $1 trillion.
So that leads to the big question for today. How in the world do you make a call like that? I mean, this isn't a gut feeling. It's not a lucky guess. It's the end result of a structured, repeatable blueprint, a kind of recipe for analysis that really anyone can get their head around. And that's exactly what we're going to walk through, step by step.
So at the very heart of this blueprint are two different ways of looking at a company, two lenses. And to get the full picture, you absolutely have to look through both of them. You know, it's kind of like you need two eyes to see in 3D. Same idea here.
And here they are. On one side, you've got qualitative analysis. This is the story. What does the company do? What makes it special? Does it have a big protective moat around its business? Is it actually innovating? Then, on the other side, you've got the quantitative. This is all about the numbers. We're talking hard data, pulled straight from the financials, profit margins, revenue growth, how much debt they have. It's the proof. And this quote from Kerry, man, it just nails it. You need both. A great story with terrible financials? That's a fairy tale waiting to end badly. And great numbers without a good story? You might be missing a huge risk that's right around the corner. You've got to put them together.
Okay, so let's put this blueprint to work. We're going to start with that first lens, the qualitative story. What is the narrative of Amazon right now that gets an analyst this excited about its future?
First things first, what even is Amazon anymore? Most of us think, oh, it's the giant online store, but that's not the whole picture. Not even close. Sure, retail is about 3/4 of their revenue, but these other pieces change everything. You've got AWS, their cloud business, at around 15%, and then advertising at 10%. This mix makes Amazon a diversified tech giant, not just a simple retailer. This brings us to a super important idea called a moat. Basically, the advantages that protect a business like a castle moat. Amazon's is just massive, built from 4 key parts. You have the Prime ecosystem that just locks customers in. You have the total dominance of AWS in the cloud space. There's that logistics network that nobody else can even dream of matching. And finally, a culture that is just obsessed with relentless innovation. And that innovation story? Well, right now it has a new hero, artificial intelligence. Just listen to the CEO, Andy Jassy. He says there's a core conviction that AI is going to transform everything they do. For Amazon, AI isn't just some buzzword. It's a core piece of their strategy for the future.
And you know, they're not just talking about it. They're infusing AI across the entire company. It's in the warehouses, telling over 1 million robots where to go. And it's at the very core of AWS, where platforms like Bedrock are giving developers the tools they need to build the next wave of AI. Now that is a powerful story.
So we've got this really compelling story, right? A diversified giant with a huge moat betting big on AI. But this is the moment of truth. This is where that second lens comes in. Does the math actually support the narrative? Let's check out the numbers.
The financial report card from the source gives us a quick top-level answer. And it's a good one. Profitability gets an A-. Solvency, which is its ability to pay its long-term bills, gets a solid A. And its overall growth is rated as strong. Let's dig into that just a little bit. Okay, that A for solvency, for a company this big, that is a huge deal. The report points out that Amazon has very little debt and generates an incredible amount of cash. This gives it what analysts call a fortress-like balance sheet. Basically, it has the financial muscle to handle any economic storm and just keep on investing heavily in its future.
And remember how we said Amazon isn't just a retailer? Well, here's the proof in numbers. This chart shows Amazon's operating margin is almost 11%. A typical retailer, they're lucky to get around 3%. That massive difference is all thanks to those super profitable businesses like AWS and advertising. They totally changed the company's financial DNA. And if you need one more number to put an exclamation point on the whole thing, look at this. The source shows that Amazon's earnings per share, a really key measure of profit, grew an astonishing 90% in 2024. I mean, that kind of explosive growth is the proof that their strategy is working. Big time. All right, we've looked through both lenses, we've got the compelling qualitative story, and we've got the strong quantitative proof. So let's bring it all home and see how this gets boiled down into a final score and a real-world forecast. The final score from the report comes in at 88 out of 100. And the key thing here is this isn't some number they pulled out of thin air. It's a weighted score that pulls together everything we just talked about. It's awesome financial health, that strong growth, and a perfect score for its competitive moat. It's a number that tells the whole story. So what does an 88 out of 100 actually mean for the stock price? Well, the analysis turns that score into concrete scenarios for a few years down the road. You can see the base case, the most likely one, suggests a price of around $360 by early 2028. This is how you turn all that deep dive analysis into an actual forecast. And that brings us to what I think is the most important takeaway from all of this. Yeah, the details on Amazon are fascinating, but the real lesson here is the blueprint itself. This process of combining the story with the numbers, the qualitative with the quantitative, that's the real tool that leads you to a clear, solid conclusion. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you see a company making headlines, for better or for worse, you now have the framework to look deeper. You can ask, okay, what's the story here? And just as important, do the numbers actually back it up? Thanks for joining me.